The classroom has no windows. You noticed this when you walked in. You notice everything now. It's been 6 weeks and noticing has become automatic, a continuous low-level scan of every space you enter. Windows, exits, faces, body language, what people do with their hands. There are 11 others in the room. You know their cover names. You don't know their real ones. This is by design. The man at the front of the room, who has been running this phase of your training, told you in week 1 that the people beside you may one day be your network, your backup, your last call before things go wrong. He didn't say, or they may be watching you. He didn't need to say it. The fluorescent light hums above you. Outside this building, somewhere in the Tel Aviv metropolitan area, you believe, though you were driven here in a vehicle whose windows were obscured, the city is going about its life. Markets, traffic, children. In here, 11 people are learning to inhabit that world as something other than what they are. You are at the beginning. You understand nothing yet. You watch. Stage 1, Cadet, the Midrasha. The Mossad's training facility is called the Midrasha. You are not supposed to confirm this name outside any context that permits it. You are learning the first layer of an institution built entirely on layers. The training period runs months. Exactly how many months is not specified. The program extends as long as the organization determines it needs to. This ambiguity is itself a lesson. In this work, timelines are determined by operational necessity, not personal preference. Your primary instructor is a man named Eitan. Eitan is 46. He came up through field operations, ran stations in 3 European cities, and transitioned to training after an incident that is not discussed and that you understand you should not ask about. He is compact, precise. When he explains something, he explains it once. You take notes in a system he taught you, not written, not digital, memorized and structured. You trust the system. The curriculum covers languages. You're already fluent in Hebrew, English, and Arabic, which is part of why you're here. It deepens your operational Arabic and adds French for coverage purposes. It covers human intelligence tradecraft. How people make decisions. What motivates cooperation. The specific psychology of a person who has information their government doesn't want shared. Covers surveillance, running it, detecting it, losing it. It covers the use of identities that are not yours. Not just documents. Full constructed lives, backstories, behavioral patterns, professional knowledge bases that must survive inspection by the person sitting across from you at dinner in a city where one wrong answer could end everything. You practice all of this. You fail regularly. Eitan corrects you without softening the correction. You adjust. Stage 2, the rules beneath the rules. The Mossad's formal code is brief. The actual operating principles are not written anywhere. You learn them by watching what happens when they're violated, which never happens in your presence directly, but which Eitan communicates through case studies presented without names or dates. The first principle, operational security, is not a preference. It is the membrane between a functioning intelligence service and catastrophe. The second, the mission does not care about your feelings about it. Your feelings about it belong to you, privately, permanently. The third, the one that takes longest to fully absorb. The state's interest and your personal moral calculus are not the same thing, and you serve the first while carrying the second, and learning to do both simultaneously without letting either destroy the other is the work of an entire career. Eitan says this once. Directly. With no softening. You sit with it. You keep sitting with it for years. Stage 3, Katza in training, entering the field. You graduate from the Midrasha. Your first assignment is in Europe. A city with a large Israeli diaspora, active hostile intelligence services, and several targets of ongoing collection interest. Your cover is business. An import-export consultancy that is real enough to investigate and unremarkable enough to survive casual investigation. Your case officer, your handler at this stage, who you meet with through a protocol that would look, to a surveillance team, like 2 business contacts having coffee, is a woman named Noah. Noah has been running field officers for 12 years. She has the specific quality of someone who has been responsible for people in danger for so long that her concern for your safety is indistinguishable from her professionalism. You learn to read the difference only much later. Your first access target is a mid-level diplomat from a country of high collection priority. You spend 3 months building the relationship. Not rushing it. Not pushing. The relationship develops at the pace that feels natural to him, which means you are sustaining 3 months of patience that is not natural to you because nothing in your actual personality inclines toward 3 months of careful restraint. But you sustain it. The diplomat trusts you by month 4. By month 6, he is telling you things his government would not want shared. Not because you coerced him. Because you understood what he needed: recognition, engagement with someone who took his views seriously, and provided it genuinely enough that the line between your performance and your actual engagement with him became difficult to locate. This is CATSA work. You are good at it. Stage 4, Operational CATSA, Running Assets. 3 years in. You manage 4 assets across 2 cities. Each one required a different approach, different pressure, different patience. One of them you recruited through a financial vulnerability that Noah identified and you exploited carefully. One came to you, a walk-in, the most dangerous and most valuable category of asset, someone who arrived with their own motivation already intact. You manage the walk-in with extra care. Walk-ins have their own agendas. The intelligence they provide must be validated against the possibility that providing it serves a purpose you haven't identified. You validate constantly. You find the walk-in is genuine. The intelligence produces 3 significant collection successes in 8 months. Noah recommends you for promotion. You gain operational authority. Not to run an entire station, not yet. But your decisions within your operational scope no longer route through Noah before they can be executed. The freedom is real. So is the weight that comes with it. Every call is yours now. Stage 5, Senior Officer, the harder work. You are 37. You have been operational for 11 years. You know things about the Mossad's activities in the region that exist in fewer than 100 people's classified knowledge. You've participated in operations that were never reported, that resolved situations that couldn't be resolved through diplomatic channels, that cost things you don't quantify in any document. You are assigned to a high-priority operation targeting a network responsible for weapons proliferation. The operation is complex. Multiple countries. Multiple identities. A timeline set by external events, not internal readiness. Your team is 4 people. You know all of them. You have worked with 2 of them before. The other 2 you know by reputation, solid, careful, the right people for what this requires. You run the first phase cleanly. The second phase encounters a problem you didn't anticipate. A hostile service has been watching your primary target. Not because of your operation. Independent surveillance, for reasons related to their own collection priorities. The surveillance doesn't identify you. But it creates a variable that renders your planned approach compromised. You have 48 hours to redesign the approach. You do it. The revised approach is less elegant than the original. It carries more exposure for your team. You tell your team this directly. You give each one the choice to stand down. None of them do. The operation proceeds. It succeeds. The debrief afterward is 2 hours. You document every decision, including the ones that were improvised under pressure, including the 2 that were wrong in ways that didn't produce disaster but that you want the institutional record to carry honestly. The debrief assessor marks the documentation as exceptional. Not the operation. The honesty of the documentation. Stage 6, Department Head, Authority and Isolation. You are 43. You head a department. You no longer run field operations personally. You design them, approve them, and carry responsibility for their outcomes without being physically present in the environments that produce those outcomes. This is the most psychologically difficult transition of your career. You learn something new about authority at this level. Below this level, authority is earned through demonstrated capability. Above a certain threshold, authority carries a component of political management that is different in kind from field competence. There are people at your level who rose through different directorates with different skills. Not better or worse than yours, different. Where you bring operational tradecraft, they bring analytical depth or technical expertise or institutional relationship networks. Working within this peer group requires a flexibility that field operations didn't fully require. You develop it. It takes 2 years to fully develop. An operation run by a team in your department produces an outcome that generates international attention. The attention is unwelcome. You spend 3 weeks managing the institutional aftermath. Intelligence Committee briefings. Coordination with the Prime Minister's office. The specific navigation of an institution that operates in permanent secrecy suddenly having its existence in a specific context confirmed by external events. You navigate it. The department sustains. The operation's long-term objectives are not materially damaged. But 3 weeks in, after a difficult session with officials you cannot describe, you sit in your office alone for 20 minutes. You think about the 11 people in the classroom with no windows. You think about how little any of you understood then about what you were entering. Stage 7. The full weight. You are 52. You are in a room where the Mossad's most senior figures meet. The room is in a building whose address is classified. The people around the table have spent their careers building toward the specific authority they carry in this room. The decisions that happen here affect the security of a state and, through that state, the lives of people who will never know this room exists. You speak precisely when you speak. You've learned that the weight of a room like this makes every word heavier. You think about your career. The assets. The ones who gave you what they had and trusted that you were what you presented yourself as. The ones who remain protected, whose identities exist in files that will be classified beyond any reasonable declassification timeline. The ones who are gone, some by age, some by circumstance. You think about the operations that succeeded and the smaller number that did not. You think about what the Midrasha couldn't teach you, that the gap between what intelligence services do and what human beings can morally sustain without damage is real, and that the people who function in that gap for decades find their own ways of carrying it or don't, and the ones who don't are the ones who leave early or are removed before the damage becomes institutional. You have carried it. You have your own method. You keep that method private. There is a new cadet being assessed this week. You were asked to observe the final evaluation session. She is 27. Military background, linguistics degree, fluent in 4 languages, assessed as high potential across every metric. You watch her for 40 minutes through a one-way glass. She's good. Better than good. She scans every room she enters before she settles. She listens completely, not performing attention, actually attending. When she's given a problem that has no clean solution, she doesn't reach for the clean solution. She works the actual problem. She will enter a room with no windows and begin to learn things that will change the architecture of her consciousness permanently. She will carry information that cannot be shared with anyone outside the institution. She will perform identities that are not hers in cities that don't know she's there. She will spend decades serving something she believes in, at costs that accumulate in ways she can't anticipate at 27. She will become something that is shaped entirely by what this work requires. You were her. You are what she will become. The observation ends. You leave the room. You walk the corridor toward the next meeting. The institution continues. So do you.